Welcome back. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Erin.
And this is the Getaways Podcast. We get to talk about a super fun city today.
Prague.
I'm so excited. I love it there so much. And we have been there together twice, and then I've been there by myself twice as well. So where should we start? Let's start with where we stayed. Okay, so the first time was
New Year's 2019, and we stayed at the Hilton.
Which was lovely. Highly recommend.
Yeah, just right outside Old Town. Like, what was a 10-minute walk into the
probably.
City Center?
And we had cash then, and there's places to walk. It's good for dogs. Like, it's pretty dog and family friendly at that hotel. Then the second time we stayed at an Airbnb, and the city is designed in, I think there are 9 or 10 different areas.
I'm not sure.
So, but it's called Praha 1, 2, 3, or 4, etc. So Praha 1 is city center, and that's, obviously where everything is. Then 2 is sort of getting a little bit more family friendly, a little bit more apartments, less traffic, less tourists. And then 3 is very close to 2, but a little bit further out even. So for our second trip, we stayed at an Airbnb, like it was right on the border of 2 and 3.
Yeah, it was in Praha 3, but you walk across the street and you're in Praha 1.
Yeah. And super lovely neighborhood. We could walk to the grocery store. There was a dog park right across the street, which Rex was obsessed with. Plenty of places to walk, plenty of places to shop. But we did need to take the underground to get to city center. It was
right outside our door, and trains run all the time. And we were in the city center in like 7 minutes.
Right. And then I went with my sister and my niece in October, and we stayed in an Airbnb in 1, on the outskirts of 1, but in Praha 1.
Oh, you were in 1?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you guys were in 2.
No, and it was really nice because we could just walk to everywhere in city center. And, we did take a Bolt a few times when we were tired, but we certainly didn't have to. That was a choice. But I would say that if you're going with kids and dogs, probably 2 or 3. If you want to really be in the center, stick with 1. But also know that Airbnbs are not expensive in Prague.
Oh, not expensive at all.
So the place we stayed was 2 bedrooms, really nice.
2 bedrooms. And the bedroom that Dylan and I share were 2 king-size beds.
Yeah. And it was, like €100 a night?
Yeah.
And then the place that I stayed with my sister and my niece, 3 bedrooms, super cute, had everything we needed, and it was about the same price. So super affordable and easy. And then you also obviously get the opportunity to make your own breakfast in the morning or whatever, just sort of save that money as well.
I like to stay in Airbnbs because I like to picture how it would feel to live there, because I'm always looking for where I want to live next, and so that's why I think Airbnbs are great.
Yeah But I think especially if you have kids or animals, you want the space. You don't all want to be crammed into one room. So definitely pros and cons to both. Okay, so activities. What's your favorite thing that you did in Prague?
That's tough. I mean, I would say the Old Town car tour, because I make us do it every time we go. Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Okay, so that is literally what it sounds like. And an old-fashioned car comes, and you either meet at a place in city center, or they arrange it in advance, and they'll come pick you up at your hotel or Airbnb. And then you do a tour of the city. And it's about, I think ours was an hour, and it was 70.
€75.
Is that what it is? €75. So, not the cheapest thing, but also not extraordinarily expensive, and really informative, really fun. We had people taking pictures of us as we were driving by. Like, it's just kind of a fun, touristy thing to do. But gives you sort of the lay of the land, especially like we usually do it right when we land into a city, is do some sort of tour so that we can just get a sense of things. And it's perfect for that.
Yeah. I'll put a link to it on the website, but they're all downtown in the Old Town. You can just pick one up on the road.
Yeah.
Or you can call ahead and they'll pick you up at your hotel. Because didn't one drop us off back at the Hilton?
They picked us up and dropped us off there. Okay. So I love a lot of things, but Old Town Square is just so charming, and it feels like you can imagine what it was like back in the day, you know, even pre-communism or communism, of like it just being a real meeting place. It's huge, it's overwhelming, it's beautiful. And then with the astronomical clock, you know, everybody crowds around it to watch the strike of the hour. It's just really kind of cool.
Yeah, it was my first like real introduction to Eastern Europe, and the architecture is so much different and so cool. It's very Gothic feeling, and that's kind of my vibe, I think.
Well, and you guys did, I mentioned communism, and it wasn't that long ago that it was communist, but you guys did a tour that I did not.
Yeah, well, you started it with us. We did the nuclear bunker tour. So the beginning, after the meeting point, we walked through the city on the way to the bunker, and he like kind of gave a history of communism in Prague in the Czech Republic. And then we got to the bunker, and that's where you decided to bid us adieu. And then, so the bunker was actually on the back of a basketball court in a park. So it kind of was hidden. And then you go in the store, you go down like 3 stories. So, and then it's a whole like little town down there. There are bathrooms, showers, kitchens. I got very claustrophobic down there, I have to say. It was very cool, but it felt very deep.
It's that part of history is not something, as someone who grew up in America, that I know very much about. I mean, it was really interesting to hear his perspective of what communism was like. And also, I don't know if you remember, but our driver from the Old Town car was talking about how his parents felt about communism, which was so dramatically different from anything that ever occurred to me. So it was just kind of an interesting perspective to talk to the people there and see sort of what imprint communism left on the city and the country, I think. Okay, other things that I love there. Charles Bridge is obviously a no-brainer. Like, you have to walk across. Then we went up in the tower right as you begin to cross from the Old Town. And I think it was like €10 or something. But you can climb all the way to the top, and you get a really lovely view of the whole city and of the bridge. So I would definitely recommend that. And the other thing that we did when you were not there was we did the Lenin Wall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which, I didn't do that. You know, so after you cross the bridge, you sort of veer off to the left, and the Lenin Wall is over there, along with the tiny alley for Shakespeare and Company, which are all we're seeing. But the Lenin Wall is just sort of feels like it's not, but like there's sort of a Berlin Wall vibe to it. It's much smaller, and obviously for a different reason. So yeah, so I would definitely cross the bridge, and the previous times I'd been there, I had never sort of veered off to the left on that side of the bridge. But it's a whole neighborhood, and there's parks over there. It's really lovely. But definitely recommend seeing the wall. And then,
and is that the tiny alley that's like 1.5 feet wide?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see that.
And then we stopped at a restaurant, which you're going to have on the website, that we had the cutest lunch. It was right on a canal, and there were statues in the canal, and there's a big water wheel. And we had the cutest, best lunch there that I think we ate really well the whole trip. But that lunch was particularly special. It was family owned. The owner came out and like recommended dishes and made sure that we had our picture taken. Like, it was just, we felt very well taken care of and very well fed. And it was a beautiful setting, like right around the corner from the wall. And like I said, on this canal that was really picturesque. So,
well, yeah, while we're there, let's talk about when we went this past spring. Mm-hmm. We've lived in Europe for almost 9 years.
Yeah.
And Italy was the first 6. And, so pizza is very dear to us, and we have a very specific feeling about how pizza should taste. And we've had a really hard time finding really good pizza outside of Italy.
Right.
But we had the best pizza in Prague.
Yeah, we did.
It was so good.
I mean, I have to say, like, the food in general in Prague is really, really interesting and really good and not expensive.
Super cheap. Super cheap.
Yeah, I mean, you can eat very, very well there for not a big tab. I mean, it's a really interesting food place. And again, the places especially that I went with my niece and my sister will be on the website, but we did not have a bad meal at all. I mean, it's like everything was, you know, I don't want to say surprisingly good because we didn't expect it to be bad, but we were like, oh my gosh, for that amount of money, we just had a feast that was delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've had a bad meal there. I did get a touch of food poisoning, but I think that was from a buffet.
Yeah, which is always a bad idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so other things that we loved there, I went with my sister and my niece to the castle and the cathedral, which
I've driven by, but I've never gone in.
yeah, well, it's a bit of a trek to get there. But you should give yourself like at least half a day to be able to take your time and sort of wander through that area because it really is worth seeing. It's really, you've got the history, you've got the beauty of the architecture. It's just definitely worth seeing. There's sort of, I felt kind of bad that we'd never gone before because it really is worth seeing and worth allowing the amount of time you need to actually like enjoy it. Now we were there in October, so crowds were not bad at all, but there were still tourists there. So I would buy your tickets early and make a plan if you're going to do that, because I think that it probably does get a little crazy in high season.
Good idea.
And then just two little things to go by and see is the dancing house, which is just a architecturally interesting, it's an apartment building, isn't it?
I think it is an apartment building.
And then the Kafta rotating head, which spins every 15 minutes. It's just something you should see. It's cool. And then the one thing that we haven't done, and I know this is going to sound really weird, but in the Jewish quarter, the cemetery is supposed to be really, really special. And we did not go. And I know it's not everybody's thing, but it is something that I would like to see at some point because I feel like that's an important part of history and it's supposed to be incredibly moving, which I'm sure it is, but something we have not done.
Something we have done is the medieval dinner.
It is, which is the total polar opposite.
It is very touristy. Exclusively touristy, I would say, but it's fun, especially if you have a child or a teenager. Dylan went twice. He went when he was 13 and then again this year at 17, and he enjoyed it both times.
Yeah, it's really fun. So you are in this restaurant and the tables are close. It's pretty packed. There's also communal tables and there's entertainment. People are, eating fire and there's dancing and there's jousting, or I don't even know jousting, but there's fighting. You have your choice of 3 proteins. You have a very simple but fun meal, 4 courses.
Beer and wine's included.
Yeah. It's just, it's cheesy, but it's fun. And it's also, it's because the tables are communal, you meet different people and see where other people are traveling from. Cheesy, but fun.
It's the urban version of medieval times.
But yeah, I mean, authentic, probably not. Fun, absolutely. Okay, so speaking of food.
Yes, always.
Well, we did a little bit that we loved, but was there anything specific that you loved or didn't?
I loved the chimney cakes.
Czech food tends to be, meat and potato heavy. So they have these dumplings that are like bread dumplings that I really like, but they go in the sort of beef stew kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, we didn't have a bad meal. It's fun to try local food. It is heavy though. It's definitely cold weather food. And obviously beer is a big thing there. The food it's definitely good and definitely affordable.
We did find a new drink there.
Oh yeah. Do you want to say it?
I don't know how to say it. Do you?
I have no idea.
We love a good after dinner drink.
Yeah, a digestive, right? And so this is ginger and it's herbal. So we like to think of it as medicinal.
Tastes medicinal, but good.
But really good. But
I'll put a picture on the website. Yeah, it's a good one.
It is a good one. But I had my sister and my niece try it when we were just there, and they both thought I was stark raving bananas.
Not for everybody.
Thought it was terrible.
Not for everybody.
So taste with caution, but we're fans.
Did you find it dog friendly?
I think outside of city center for sure. I think that sometimes, in the city centers in general, I find that it's a little bit more difficult because there tends to be a lot of people. There tends to be a lot of, activity and not always conducive to a dog that especially is very energetic, like, somebody I know. But 2 and 3, Praha 2 and 3, there are parks everywhere. There's walks everywhere. Dogs are having their best lives. So, I think if you're in an Airbnb outside of city center, or if you have a calmer dog, I think it could be very dog friendly all over. I'm not sure what the rules are for taking dogs into restaurants and stores. I didn't see that so much, but there are certainly plenty of places to exercise and get them outside of city center.
Okay, so if you're going with kids, there's an amazing toy store that we went to the first time we went, and it was called Hamley's then, which is a big UK department store. But I think they changed, and it's called the Playground, because it's the Playground.
Yeah, and the first time, Dylan and I spent probably 4 hours there, and then we went back and the second time and did more activities. But there's a whole area that had a butterfly garden where you could walk in and they would land on you. There's a mirror maze. There's escape rooms. There's virtual reality. And that's all in addition to a
giant toy store.
Like a 4-story toy store that has a slide going from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing.
Like so many interactive things. Like, I mean, you could literally, especially like if the weather was bad, you could spend the whole day there.
Yeah.
There's so much to do and it's really, really cool.
It's fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
For kids of all ages.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that it is a very family friendly city. We also did a show that we didn't love, but I think younger kids would have loved, called Glow. Which was like a glow in the dark thing. It was
something.
It was for younger kids, but I think younger kids, if you just let go, but teenagers probably not. Adults,
definitely
grin
not.
and bear it. But lots and lots of stuff to do, and we still have a lot more to explore there.
So much more. I can't wait to go back, to be honest.
No, I know. I really, really do love it, and I think it's a very, very livable city. One thing I will say about the airport is about 30 to 40 minutes outside of city center, maybe a little bit longer than that. But a lot of the Airbnbs will pick you up from the airport and bring you in for €30, which I think is a pretty good deal. So maybe as you're organizing your travel, look into that just to see if it can make your life a little bit easier once you land. So highly recommend. Go get yourself to Prague.
Maybe we'll see you there next time.
Thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe and check out our website at www.thegetaways.com. That's The Getaways, GETAWAYZ.com. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.